We will call to order a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, to be held on Monday, August 15th, 2022, at 7 p.m. in the City Council Chambers at 301 South 5th Street. Our invocation will be presented by Pastor Greg Kirk of the United Gospel Rescue Mission, and then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Shall we pray? Father in heaven, thank you for this day that we can be here, Lord, this beautiful day that you've given us. Father, be with us as we work on making our city a better place. Father, I ask that you'll keep our minds clear and focused on the task at hand. Lord, I thank you for this beautiful place you put us in, and thank you for your creation, and I thank you most of all for your Savior. I ask these things in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Kirk. Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilwoman Parson?
Here.
Councilwoman Fox?
Here.
Councilwoman Horton?
Here.
Councilman Smith?
Here.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Here.
Mayor Davis?
Here. Any member of the City Council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or with any matter discussed at a previous meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'll need to leave. We were going to vote on the GG because I'm on one of those groups.
Okay. Could you make note of that, Clerk Phelps?
Pardon? Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no other items there, each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the City Council on any matter which is not on the printed agenda. Okay, seeing none. Consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the City Council. If any council member would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and considered separately, he or she may request to do so.
Mr. Mayor, I believe we all received in our packet the agenda, and with that being said, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The consent agenda has been approved as presented. Workshop items for discussion. Item A, the City Council will consider a resolution approving the sale, assignment, and conveyance of a leasehold interest in 3 acres, 1550, 1560, and 1570 Cravens Drive, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, together with taxable industrial revenue bonds issued by the City of Poplar Bluff in 2014 from Tom Roth and Roth Investment Holdings, LLC of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, to the BK Property Investments, LLC, an Illinois corporation. Our city manager will present this.
Well, that about covers it. There were some industrial revenue bonds issued in 2014 for warehouse property there on Cravens Road, just across from the Armory. Currently with Tom Roth and Roth Investments, and they're looking to transfer those to BK property. Other than the holder, nothing else about the originally issued bonds will change.
I move that to the voting session held September the 6th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, the City Council will consider authorizing the mayor to enter into a parking space lease agreement with Francis Energy LLC to allow the installation and operation of charging stations for electric vehicles. Mr. Winters?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I was recently contacted by Nick Wilson with Francis Energy. He's here tonight. I'll let him speak here in just a minute. They own and operate electric vehicle charging stations across the Midwest. Actually, Mr. Hbac and I had been kind of looking into doing this, putting in some stations, some charging stations, and really after Mr. Wilson came and approached me, I think it's much better to let them own, operate, and maintain them. They would be paying us some rent and also paying for the electric that's used in at the charging stations. So Nick, if you want to come up and explain everything to our council members, I'd be glad to hear from you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As Mr. Winters has made you aware of Francis Energy, we apply for the current funding of the VW diesel emissions mitigation lawsuit fund. It is in regards to the Volkswagen diesel emissions lawsuit from a few years back, and it is the Missouri's portion of that lawsuit to recoup or mitigate the emissions that the faulty Volkswagen company has done. They have selected Poplar, Bluff, along with a few other communities of the same size as a funded corridor. The funded corridor is selected, and it allows for the site to become funded. As Mr. Winters said, it is a parking lot lease agreement for 20 years. We have a profit share. We have proposed a profit share agreement in the contract. Francis Energy will pay for all financial responsibilities. The city will not be financially responsible for anything, but will gain the profit share as part of the rent for the parking lot on Vine Street next to the City Hall. It's pretty much a win-win for the city. There's you get the rent that's coming in, but more importantly, this is a destination charger. It's level 3 fast chargers, and it will be uploaded onto every make and model navigation unit, and it will indicate the Poplar Bluff as a destination charging place. It will generate increased dwell time and allow for some of the businesses around the charging stations to experience some business and some activities from people being at the chargers. It takes anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes for the vehicle to charge. That'll allow ample time to go in and have a coffee or have lunch there at the city. If there's any questions, I'm open to answer any.
So the plan is 4 to 8 charging stations?
Yes, ma'am. The current grant requires 4 to begin with. We would like to install some futures for the adoption rate as the future kind of depends, and how the market dictates is what we'll do.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Mr. West, come to the podium there. And
Yeah, I believe the question was, will it charge motorcycles? Absolutely. As long as the motorcycle has the standard plug that the NEVI, the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Federal Act, has indicated, and they have condensed all the charging ports to the standard charging. So it will charge anything that it charges all makes and models, and that's a little bit different than some of the other private networks. Tesla chargers only charge Tesla. We will charge all makes and models. That's a public charging station. That will determine on the city's cost of the electricity. That's where we will be getting our electricity from, and it will be determined by the demand rate in which the city indicates. But for reference, our average charge is somewhere between $11 and $15, and that's several states. And that typically the makes and models that'll get you around 300 miles on $15.
Thank you very much.
And just to kind of clarify, the Francis Energy is applying for these grants to DNR's Volkswagen Trust program. So this is all contingent upon them receiving their funding from DNR. However, we are on, every round they've done, they have a group of cities that are eligible, and it's finally our turn to be eligible. So they kind of limit even who's going to be able to apply. Francis Energy has stations in other cities and have partnered with other cities in Missouri, and I have talked to a few other city managers that have dealt with Francis Energy, and they've all had positive experiences dealing with them in the past. So.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to move this to the September 6th voting session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, the City Council will consider applications received for a vacancy on the Library Board of Trustees. Mr. Winters?
The library board had a member resign, and they're asking we advertised recently for the vacancy, and recommendation of Cindy White to fill that vacancy on the library board.
Make a motion to move this to the voting session on September 6th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, the City Council will consider repealing ordinance number 22-45, amending the fiscal year 2022 budget for the city of Poplar, Bluff, and accepting the best bid for a new HVAC unit at the Margaret Orwell Art Museum.
I believe I saw Mr. Whitworth. There's Mr. Whitworth. I'm going to let Mr. Whitworth come up and talk this thing out for you.
We're almost home now. Okay, so I had a bid that was for a single unit that the attic unit was bad, and the bidders didn't let, one of the bidders that we accepted did not let the guys who came to install know that both units needed to be replaced. Well, we accepted the lower bid of the ones that had both units included, and luckily Mary Buffington saw in the paper that had been accepted, and she said, well, you could call them up, well, Steve, ours was $5,900, that was $78, and I said, well, that's so much lower. I thought that was for and she presented it as a single unit because you needed to have both presented as a single unit, and the others presented each one as individual units. And so I said, well, oh my gosh, thanks for catching that. We have not reported to the other place that they won the bid, so I'll have to go see what I can do. And so that's where we are, $5,900 instead of $78 that you approved last time. And so if you give us a green light here tonight, then I can tell them to jump on it, and we will have air just in time for winter to set in. So, so thank you for your consideration, and I appreciate anything you can do for me. Thanks. Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to move this to tonight's voting session.
Second.
Thank
All
you.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The City Council will consider a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding a zoning classification for property to be annexed located at 3396 Canal Boulevard and owned by New Covenant Fellowship Church. Our city planner, James Sisk, will present this.
This is a piece of property that the library is acquiring to expand the property for the library annex on Canal Boulevard. They're purchasing it from New Covenant Fellowship Church, and as long as that deal goes through, we're recommending a C2 zoning as the rest of the property that is in the city in that corridor.
Okay, are there any questions?
I make a motion to move that
Okay.
to September 6th voting.
Second, is there anyone in the audience would like to comment on this item? This will be item E, the rezoning classification. Okay, if not, do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F, the City Council will consider a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission to rezone property located south of Oak Grove Road and east of Shelby Road from RS2 General Residential to C2 General Commercial for future commercial development. Mr. Sis?
Should have stayed up here.
I was going to tell you that.
Yeah. So this is the 11.15 acre tract of property that sits at the corner of Shelby and Oak Grove. It kind of runs lengthwise on Shelby Road, excuse me. The Zion Lutheran Church that owns this property has come in and they're considering a subdivision of the property, retaining part of it. They do want to build a church at some point, but they see the value in the corner and they want to rezone that 3 acres to C2 commercial. So that is our planning
Okay.
and zoning has saw fit to pass that through.
Are there any questions, comments from the council? Yes, ma'am? Okay, if you would come to the podium, would you state your name and address, please?
My name is Pamela. My name is Pamela Wagoner, and I live at 2828 Reno Drive. And I just have some questions about this because this is going to kind of affect my comings and goings. And I received a letter about the Planning Commission, and I couldn't find you guys. At the head of the letter, it said 501 Vine Street. So that's where I went. And then I got to looking at the letter, and it said 301 South 5th Street. Well, I found it, but I couldn't find you because you were in the back. So I finally got here, but it was kind of late.
Yeah, the planning and zoning meets in this room.
I know, but I didn't know where you met.
Okay.
So I was kind of late in getting here. So I was at the meeting. But I've been talking to my neighbors and things, and we just don't know, what they're going to do. And we just kind of need to know what's going on. We think maybe we need a little time to have a lawyer and see what's going on, because we didn't know. We hadn't even heard of this before.
Yes, it's our understanding they're rezoning this for future development, so they may end up putting it up for sale. They could build a church there since the church owns it. That's they've just asked for it to be rezoned. So.
Okay, well, we've got a big sign setting in, another piece of property right
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And there's a big sign saying that there's some sort of commercial thing coming in.
Yes, and that's a separate parcel from this one.
Okay, I know that's separate,
Yes.
but, I mean, we just don't know, how this is going to work.
I mean, it's like I said, they're either going to market it and sell it for commercial development, a store or a restaurant or something like that, or the church owns it, so they could build a church there. I don't know. I don't think they know what they're going to do with it after it gets zoned commercially.
Okay. All right.
The small parcel that's actually attached or butts up to Reno Drive has already been zoned commercial.
That is
Which is
correct.
why that sign is there.
Yes.
So this will be on the other side of that property.
Yeah, this
That's
is
the question.
right on the corner.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that
all right.
good?
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to comment on this zoning issue? If not, do we have a motion to move this?
I make a motion to move it to the September 6th voting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The city council will consider a bid for the sale of a 1985 Blah Knox model PF-115 paver for the city of Poplar Bluff Street Department. Mr. Winters?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So earlier this year, the street department purchased a new to them asphalt paver. This one it's as you can see, it was a 1985 model. It was on its last leg. I think there was some baling wire and duct tape involved in the last time it was used. So Mr. Lawson put out a request for bids on this, and we received one bid in the amount of $3,000. And Mr. Lawson recommends that that the council accepts this bid of $3,000.
Make a motion to move that to September 6th voting session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item H, the city council would consider authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Missouri Department of Economic Development relative to a community development block grant for stormwater improvements, project 2021 GI 28. Mr. Winters?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We were notified last week that the city has been awarded a community development block grant through the Missouri Department of Economic Development in the amount of $500,000 for stormwater improvements. Three Rivers College has committed an additional $305,579 in cash, and the city will perform in-kind work of approximately $100,000. And this grant agreement is to authorize us to accept that grant and start moving forward with it.
Make a motion to move this to the voting session September 6th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item I, the city council will consider a resolution of support for the construction of a low-income housing development that would be funded through the Missouri Housing Development Commission's Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program. Miss Deborah Hart,
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name's Debbie Hart. I'm with DHTC Development. We're a development company in Springfield. We actually applied for a project in Poplar Bluff about 5 years ago, and sadly, we were unsuccessful that time. But we were looking at the reason we're looking at Poplar Bluff is specifically because of the economic development that's going on in the city and in the region. Specifically, True Manufacturing just received a Missouri Works grant, which is creating new jobs. And like every community in the state of Missouri, we are all challenged in finding workers in today's world. And part of that challenge always comes with finding safe, decent, affordable housing for workers to live in. So we started looking for a location in Poplar Bluff and identified a site, which is the next item on your agenda, which is on Shelby Road. It is obviously, I feel badly, I've got my back to you. It's a great location. Obviously, I don't have to tell you that. You all see what the economic development potential is in that part of your city. And this particular site would have the benefit of having access to both Roxy and Shelby roads. What's unique about this, and I know the city of Poplar Bluff as well as other communities are familiar with low-income housing projects, this project is unique in that it will offer a path to home ownership for tenants that live there. And I think that's unique because it provides neighborhood stabilization in addition to economic development, in addition to the basic need of just providing safe, decent, affordable housing for the tenants that will occupy it. I sent a packet in, and I think you all have seen that. I don't want to be redundant. I want to be mindful of your time. But I do want to just stress to you, affordable housing projects are extremely stringently managed in terms of tenant selection criteria. There are criminal background checks. There's actually a credit check, not because we're trying to look at someone's credit score, but because we don't allow people who have left a former landlord without, by demolishing a property or left an unpaid utility bill. We think this could be a wonderful economic development story. We've been in contact with Mr. Halter at the Chamber. We've been in touch with, we're in the process of coordinating with True. And we're also working with other manufacturers in the area that are creating new jobs, and we think that this could be beneficial as they try to expand their workforces. So the project itself, it's a 40-unit project. They're townhomes. They have garages. They are a combination of 2- and 3-bedroom units. And again, I think the most unique thing about this is that it comes with a path to home ownership for the tenant. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Can you kind of talk to them a little bit more about the income eligibility? I know you had a couple different tiers there. Maybe explain that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So the affordable housing program is geared to serve individuals and families earning 60% and less of the area median income. This project would actually also serve individuals and families making 80% of the area median income. That's a sliding scale based on family size. And in the packet that I sent to you, I think I actually had some specific numbers, but I can tell you it's typically individuals that are working in service industries within the city. So virtually anyone that works in retail, virtually anyone that works in any kind of service-related industry would qualify to live in housing. The rough estimate is it's $36,000 a year for a family of 2. So that gives you an idea of what the dollar figure is. And as you go up, that thing is... And as your family size goes up with number of children, obviously that number goes higher. The other thing that's important, these have to be family units. So you can't have 2 unrelated people living in a unit. It has to be a family that lives there, and that's the income qualification and the tenant selection criteria. Did that answer your question?
Is there a limit to the number of people that can?
Yes, you are limited by bedroom. So MHDC does not allow more than 2 children to a bedroom. So if a couple was living in a 2-bedroom, they could have a family of 4. If there was a 3-bedroom, it would be a family of 6. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. So we have we've developed projects all over the state of Missouri. We have a project we just completed in West Plains last year. It too has a path to home ownership, and we do have on-site management. And in addition to that, we will also have someone who will be a resource coordinator that will be on-site as well. So we have a couple of people that are there really to frankly be a good cop and a bad cop. The manager is never the good cop. They're always the one that's enforcing the rules.
So, but once they're owners, what guidelines be then?
Let me explain to you about that. So the initial compliance period for these projects is 15 years. So for 15 years, they are owned by us and managed as a rental property. At the end of 15 years, then there's a transition to home ownership. And so the priority is given to people who live in the units. And we actually try to incent them to buy their unit. And the reason we do that is because it tells such a good economic development story. We've actually been very successful with that. The very first project we did in 2008 was a project in Springfield, and we have 60% of our original tenants living in that development. That's a pretty extraordinary thing. And the difference, I think, you start seeing people take a pride of ownership in where they live from the very beginning. And I say it's the difference between planting perennials and planting annuals. But you really do start seeing a pride of ownership. And the good news for the community is what it does for neighborhood stabilization, because you have people that are starting to think of themselves as the end owner at the very beginning of the lease, and that tells a great story because they take care of it, and they also are not afraid to rat somebody out if they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And so, and that transition is a 3-year transition period.
So the requirement that a nonprofit has to be involved in these projects. So who are you partnering with as far as that goes?
So we have a partnership with Life 360, which is a nonprofit based in Springfield. They also have a presence in Poplar Bluff. They have a feeding program that they do, an after-school feeding program. So they, through the USDA, they help to provide nutritious meals for at-risk and under-resourced children. So they have a presence in the community. And I. Yeah, sorry, Debbie Hart, DHTC Development. T as in Tom, C as in cat. Yes, ma'am. Life 360? 360, like.
Like the app I used to track my kids on?
Right. They actually have a presence really all over southern Missouri. They're based in Springfield, however.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes.
I wouldn't run off too far. You may have some questions from the audience to address.
If anyone in the audience would like to speak regarding this. Yes, that's fine. Just come to the podium, and if she'll just stand there and she can answer questions.
My name is Greg West. I live in 1184 County Road 476. You said that this construction development for 40 units is based on a familial for families.
Yes.
I've been a landlord for a lot of years, and it's a complete violation for HUD to ask familial status of a renter. How do you get around that?
That's the MHDC policy. We have that policy that's part of our tenant selection criteria. Now, I guess to this extent, there can be.
That's completely illegal.
Well, there can be two people. What we don't allow, there can be like a couple living together, and so I'm not asking marital status. I guess let me back up. So you're correct. But what we don't have is like student housing where we have people renting one bedroom and somebody else renting one bedroom. And the reason, and so that was a better answer to the question.
Okay, but the way you've presented it, it's for families.
Yes, that's by design as opposed to seniors.
Okay.
It's for families.
It's for families, but
yes.
That's not the truth, because you can't ask familial status when you're renting.
Well, I mean, it's designed for families. That's all I can say. We can't, people could, I guess, come together and say, I'm going to live together and, not.
And then they would pass your criteria if people
they
just.
They would pass our criteria.
Well, we're not here to attack her. We're here to
I'm not
get
attacking,
input
sir. I'm trying to clarify.
And we're not here to try to dissect the law, and I'm sure you've done this several times, right?
Yes.
So I'm sure she knows the various intricacies of doing this.
Okay, well.
And going forward, so so do you have any more questions?
I don't have any more from Ms. Hart at this time, but I would like to address the council if I may.
Okay.
This is because, Ms. Hart, you said that this is a low-income housing tax credit development?
Yes.
Okay. I sent all the members of the council, including the city manager, an email late this evening. You probably have not had a chance to see it, so I printed it off to give to you.
I'll need a copy of that for the record.
Yeah,
No,
I've
I've
got
got-
mine too. I've got mine on. All right. Thank you.
Members of the council, city manager, Poplar Bluff is a great place to live, but we've already got 18 low-income apartment communities in the city of Poplar Bluff. We've already got nearly 1,000 units in the city of Poplar Bluff. What in the email that I sent you, you have active links that you can click and take a look at what we have here. One of the things that concerns me is our previous assessor, Marion Tibbs, had worked with the state of Missouri and the Poplar Bluff R1 school district, and one of the things that happened, well, with the Vine Street apartments, is they only pay a fourth of their assessed evaluation, which is explained in the email I sent you. So unless the city of Poplar Bluff is really flush with cash, and the last time I checked, we all needed more money. And anything that I've ever seen with the LIHTCs, they don't pay their way. The Vine Street apartments, they cost, everyone here is a taxpayer, $319,000 per unit when they were built 12, 15 years ago. That's a concern for me. And like I say, I'm not going to read this email word for word. I'll let you guys take a look at it. But if you guys remember, it was years ago, it was before I was on the school board, state of Missouri was trying to pass a lottery to make lottery legal in Missouri. The way it was presented to the citizens was they said that this money will go to the schools. This money will go for kids. And I guess it's a matter of interpretation. Strictly speaking, they told the truth. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm a minority, but when I heard that, I thought, well, that's a great deal, because I was looking to be on the school board. I knew the school had challenges, the school had funding issues. But what they did was they put the money in the general fund. The way it was presented was the money would go to the schools in addition to whatever funding they had. So technically they told the truth. Now, this city has been, in my opinion, a victim of misinformation in the council in the past. I have here the property record cards, which is available to the public at our local courthouse, for the Poplar Bluff Villas, aka veteran housing. And that's the way it was established. When I called up and talked to the city of Poplar Bluff and spoke, at that time it was Nevada, she said, oh, you mean the veteran housing? Well, if anybody here has checked, and I spoke with someone that works out there, they said that there's less than 10% veterans in that veteran housing. And the way it was presented, you had to be a veteran or member of one. So I guess my point is...
That's not correct. That is not correct. It was presented that veterans would have the first preference, and any other housing units that were available would be available to anyone that qualified for it. But it did not say for veterans only.
No, it said it would. They would be given preference.
Yes.
Yes, sir. But the underlying overture was it's for veterans, because anyone that I ever spoke to, and I would be
I was
happy
here
for you
then,
to take-
and that is not correct.
Okay. Opinions vary. But one of the things that doesn't vary is the amount of taxes that, then this is just one, the Poplar Bluff Villas. Over the course of, let's see here, Poplar Bluff Villas, they've been there since 2018. So in 4 years, if you do the math, and Chris Rickman or Marion Tibbs can check me on this, and I'm going to be close, but they have not paid $59,000 a year of taxes because they received a lower assessment value. The way I understand it, any LIHTC, low-income housing tax credit development, gets a lower amount. So,
Mr. West, the council here doesn't know, can't know about the assessment issues and how that was assessed. That's something that's done at the courthouse with the assessor's office. So we're here to go over this and review this and to go forward one way or the other. Is there anything else that you would like to do to conclude what you're saying and give someone else an
I would like to
opportunity?
think that it's relevant of the amount of taxes that the city and the county receives, and also the developments that this may prohibit, because it's not a level playing field with...
But the council doesn't set the assessment level.
I'm sorry?
The council doesn't assess the assessment level.
No, sir, they don't. But the city of Poplar Bluff is affected by the lack of income that happens on this. So it's a ripple effect. You know, like I said, if the city's flush with cash and all your budgets, go for it. I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
But I would like for the city and the council to educate themselves on the effects of bringing another LIHTC here. And I liken it to the Missouri lottery. When it was brought to the vote, it was brought as it's for the schools. Well, the lack of taxing, the biggest impact is our children, which is Poplar Bluff R1 schools.
Okay, well, thank you for your input.
Any questions for me?
Are there any questions for Mr. West? Further questions? If not, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to? Ms. Hart, if you would like to finish your presentation here.
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to say one thing. So the previous speaker is correct, so that LIHTC projects do have a different assessment schedule. But I would say to you two things. Number one, this is a piece of property that right now is on the tax rolls and it's not really producing anything for your community. And so the additional value of improvements to the site, which at the end of 15 years will be regular, townhomes that will be sold, they will be on the tax rolls at that point at full value. So I wanted to say that, number one. Number two, the way the program is structured, it's no secret to you. I mean, you all understand that you've got a poverty rate of about 30% in Poplar Bluff, and you've got an area median income that is below the state average. So the reason affordable housing is such an important piece to the puzzle it's not that we're bringing people in. There are people that live in your community now that don't have safe, decent, affordable housing. And the other thing, you are uniquely positioned because you do have jobs. And so if you can attract people, like every employer in the state, we need to find ways to fill those jobs. And so housing is a key component to that. So I just wanted to add that, and that's really all I have to say, but I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Yeah.
You said that the transition's approximately 3 years. Can you explain that a little more? So the person has to live there the first 15 as a renter?
Now, there's a priority given to people who are renters, the original tenants, to come to the path of home ownership. Obviously, life changes. People don't always stay someplace for 15 years. What we actually do the last 10 years, so between years 10 and 15, tenants that are there those years start earning a discount toward the purchase price of their unit. And we do that intentionally so that we can get people to stay and become owners. That's part of the process that MHDC has blessed and that we believe strongly in, that it helps people to then obtain housing that will be at a mortgage rate that's going to be similar to what their rental rate was.
So they'll receive a mortgage after the 15th year?
Correct.
Do you have any estimate of what that would be as far as the value of the units at that time?
No, I don't. I mean,
Do you have a value of what it's going to cost to build a unit this time?
Yeah, I do. Right now, these units are, I mean, they're really expensive because everything's really expensive. I would say per unit cost, $180,000.
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that number?
$180,000 per unit.
And that's for a 2 or 3 bedroom home with a garage.
Yeah. Well, that's an average. So, but yes, 2 to 3 with a garage.
Just per unit, which is really 2
Per-
units.
There are 4 plexes,
Okay.
so they're 4. So
180 for the 4.
No,
Oh, okay.
per unit. I wish.
Yeah, it's like, seemed pretty cheap to me.
Yeah.
So it's like they're going to buy condos then? So
We're actually gonna try to work with the city to try to do a 0 lot line, which I like better because I think it's easier to understand. We've done units like this in Branson where they do understand condos. I think the further removed you get from that market, the better it is to do something that's easier for people and buyers to understand. And so that's the reason we would prefer a 0 lot line, but we can do it as a condominium structure.
So this $180,000 initial cost, what will those units rent for?
Depending on whether it's a 60% unit or an 80% unit, based on area median, average median income, the unit range will be $550 to $700 per month.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further questions from the council members? Yes, sir.
Jim Prisman, 1829 Whispering Pines. I want you to understand what Debbie is asking of this council. She's asking for you to give her an opportunity to make a big wad of money by promoting this project. It takes unfair advantage of the other renters, the other property owners in town that don't have the luxury of spending $180,000 to get a $500 or $600 rent. This is just not fair on any basis, and I ask you to reject this out of hand.
Mr. Winters, would you like to elaborate on any of this? Or?
No, I think I don't have anything to add to what's been said already.
I make a motion to move it to the September 6th voting session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Not, motion carries. Item J, the city council will consider an option to purchase what has been made for Lot F of city-owned property on Shelby Road. Mr. Winters?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, of course, this item J is Related to item I, we just got done discussing, so as part of her project, Ms. Hart has made an offer to purchase contingent upon this LIHTC funding, Lot F that's on Shelby Road directly across the street from the new police station for $395,000. She's also requesting, as part of the option to purchase, that the city contributes about $50,000 of in-kind services to the project, which could be a variety of different things. Ms. Hart will know by December 31st, 2022 if her project was selected for funding. If it is selected, the property would sell and the closing would be most likely in June of 2023.
I'll make a motion to move that to September 6th voting session.
I just have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So as far as the 50,000 in kind, is this something we've done in the past, like on a purchase property? Not that we can't set our own precedent, I was just wondering.
I don't know when the city has sold a piece of property this size to even have been been an option in the past. So I don't know that there has been, but I don't know that there's been this similar situation either. So.
So the 50,000 in kind could be grading or any kind of just general work that like the street department or some other department does.
Yes. Okay. Could be a reduction in permit fees or, just, yes.
Okay.
Do we want to move this forward for a vote, or do we want to move it forward for an additional workshop and vote? Or just move it forward to vote? We had a motion, correct? Do we have a second?
Not opposed to selling the property, but the 50,000 in kind is just kind of where I'm hung up at.
Sure.
Just because I know where our departments are already.
Sure.
With staffing shortages and things of that nature. I think Mr. West brought up a point, the already reduced tax rate that they will be receiving.
Sure.
I'm sure maybe this is a competitive advantage possibly for the grant.
Yes.
That the city has done something for it.
Yes.
I don't know if this 50,000 is kind of that number or if there's a number that we could negotiate on. So that's my only hesitation.
From communications with Ms. Hart, really this is for her to maximize the points or in that category, it would need to be even larger than that. So I think whatever that dollar amount that you would want to come to would, we're not going to get to the place where she's going to maximize her points. So I think, Ms. Hart, if I speak out of, if you have anything you want to add to this, you can. But I think anything is better than nothing, I guess, is what so if there's a different dollar figure that you'd like to recommend or not at all or whatever, that's why we're having this meeting tonight. That's your decision. So.
I mean, I know we've not had any offers on this property, or that I can remember.
Correct.
Right? And so, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, we're looking at still receiving $345,000 for this parcel, just a lot to soak in.
It is. You are correct.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand this because I apologize, I'm late to the party. So this J that you're talking about, this lot, that's for this development?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you explain to me what that means, an option to purchase the city? In other words, it's an option for her to purchase it or the city? Because the city already owns it.
Correct. For her to purchase it.
Okay.
For Ms. Hart to purchase it, yes.
And what's the purchase price?
$395,000.
Okay, and then what's the 50 you're talking about?
In-kind work, so like, the example given is extending the utilities to the property from the road, reduced or waived permit fees, but something totaling 50,000.
Can I ask the council, when was the last time something like this was done, as far as you're talking about, for something that didn't have a grant attached to it? If I'm not mistaken, the Nuns built a development on Barron Road. Did they get a like-in-kind, something like this too?
Well, now, we always do in-kind. I mean, that's a common thing, but, I mean, it varies in different amounts.
Okay, was there an in-kind donation or whatever done for the Nun development on Barron Road?
I'm not familiar with that. I'm not sure on that one.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Trying to remember, I think
open it
I
up.
was with the city at that time. I think I was already here when that started.
Open it up wider than that. Can anybody tell me any time that there's been something done for someone that didn't attach to a grant? That's a fair question, Mayor.
I'm not aware of anything beyond what we're discussing here. I know some grants, their in-kind work is brought into that.
I can barely hear you, Mayor. I'm sorry.
I said I'm not aware of any of that. As far as I know, in-kind work is done for some, as you mentioned, grants, but I would defer to our city attorney, Mr. Richardson. Are you aware of anything on this?
No, I mean, it's not uncommon at all when we're doing workforce development that we do special things for factories, business entities that are coming in, but not in the residential area that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Council, think about that. That's not a level playing field.
Okay. Thank you. Could you state your name and address?
Peter Tinsley, 2722 North Main. I'm sitting here listening to this. I want to get my brain wrapped around this. We're building a brand new police station.
Pull the mic up a little bit. I can hear you.
Pull the mic up.
There you go.
That better?
There you go.
Can you hear me? I don't want to yell at you. I do kind of mumble sometimes. We're building a brand new police station. We got a brand new animal hospital. We got a brand new pretty road. We got economic development out here, new restaurants, new shopping and everything. And I'm trying to get my brain wrapped around this. You're going to put an affordable housing unit right in the middle of it. I'm understanding that correctly. I don't believe that's wise planning. I'm sorry. We deal downtown here with the rehab in the middle of downtown. Everybody worries about it. And we got an economic development out here that's Poplar Bluff is just booming. She talks about. And you're going to put an affordable housing unit right in the middle of the whole thing.
That property,
Excuse me?
property is on the market, and that property was not purchased for any sense of speculation. It was purchased for the building of the police station. But there's several acres there, and the city would like to take advantage of any opportunity to I don't know if recoup is the right word to use, the money that was spent for that property. And we're looking at all options and all possibilities. We're not locked into this. And I see what you're saying. I see the point you're making.
It just doesn't. You do have the authority, and we do elect you to protect. That's why we have zoning. That's why we have codes and all this.
Well,
And to me, it just does not make good
this
sense.
possibility and possibility was brought to the attention, I believe, through our realtor, Mr. Winters. It was brought to our attention through the realtor to city manager Matt Winters, and he brought this forward, and therefore this is very appropriate for Ms. Hart to come forward and present this this opportunity, and we will have to make a decision, so.
I have no argument
I
with
mean, you
her.
have valid questions, but we don't want to interrogate Ms. Hart either and quiz her, and there are positive things in every situation, and she apparently feels certain about that, and that's why we're here and discussing this, so, but thanks for your input, and is there anything else you'd like to say?
How much property are we talking here?
5.7 acres.
5.7 acres for 39, has it been appraised?
395,000.
Has it been appraised?
No.
That sounds awful cheap to me for what the property is going for out there. I'm sorry, 5 acres, prime. I'm sorry, it makes no sense to me. And you guys do have the authority, and that's what we elect you for, is to protect our property and our property values. And putting affordable housing right in the middle of a commercial development does not seem like you're protecting our property.
You know, the one consideration here is too, and as I said, this is not about a real estate for the city or speculation or selling property, but it was an opportunity
It's not.
possibly to recoup some of that money.
Which is, it's not about speculation.
I'm
and-
referring to the land that we purchased for the police station, and that's put for sale.
I'm just saying.
That's
you
on the
have-
market.
You have an obligation to protect our development.
Yeah, we understand
That's why we
that.
elect you. That's part of your job.
Right.
And to put affordable housing right in the middle of a economic development like that, I don't believe is wise. That's just.
Thank you for your input.
Mr. Mayor, Jim Chrisman, 1829 Whispering Pines. This stinks. It almost sounds like bribery. We'll give you a housing development if you buy our property. Is that not what is happening here?
Mr. Chrisman, let's don't go that direction. There's no bribery here or anything else. This was presented as a possibility to buy this property.
But it's a possibility to buy this property. You either buy the property and take your chances with it, or you don't.
Okay.
One can't be contingent on the other. That's not right. That's just not right.
Okay.
Fortunately, that's how grant funds work. Just the few grants that I was a part of downtown, if a property owner, just a regular citizen, owned a piece of property and we wanted to file for grants through downtown Poplar Bluff, they had to sign over their rights to us as a nonprofit. And those are things that are done by being a property owner of downtown. Matt maybe can speak on that a little bit more, James possibly. So I mean, there are loopholes and things that companies and even individuals jump through for grants, not even just big corporations. So I just wanted to put that out there that, I mean, I worked with a few individuals here in our community that have signed waivers over of their buildings to us to help file for grants for projects, for DED, for other projects. So I just didn't want it to come across that doesn't happen, because personally
The difference, Jerica, in what you're mentioning is that the city is making the decision on both sides of the issue here. It's not approval of a hands-off situation.
No, we've not made a decision yet. I mean, we're just in talking stages, and we appreciate your input of all of you.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you had a motion on the floor, and
We did.
And at this time, I would like to second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second to move this forward to the voting session on September 6th. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 3 opposed and how many? 4?
Roll call vote, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Okay, roll call. Clerk Phelps.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox? No. Councilwoman Horton?
No.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
No.
Mayor Davis?
No.
So we have 5 noes and 2 yeses. It doesn't move to the voting session, September 6th.
Okay.
Can I just ask for clarification? Does that mean in favor?
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Mr. Richardson, could I ask a question here? Since we had a motion on the floor and it failed, is it appropriate for me to make a motion to move it to another workshop at this time?
No, the voice vote has already been taken, and the matter is dead. It can be placed back on the workshop agenda at any time.
Okay.
Under our normal, the mayor can put it on, 2 council members can put it on. But the issue is dead, and no motion at this point would be appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions or comments, we will move forward to the action required items. Mr. Winters, did you want to elaborate on anything?
No.
Okay. Item AA, Bill number 8404, the City Council will take action on an ordinance accepting a bid for Shelby Road Phase 2 improvements.
Make a motion for first reading of bill number 8404.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance accepting a bid from Jockhurst Incorporated of St. Genevieve, Missouri for the Shelby Road Phase 2 Improvement Project.
Motion for second reading of Bill 8404.
Second.
Counselor?
An ordinance accepting a bid from Jockhurst Incorporated of St. Genevieve, Missouri for the Shelby Road Phase 2 Improvement Project.
Motion for adoption of bill number 8404.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Clerk Phelps?
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox? Yes. Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Bill number 8404 has been adopted. Item BB, Bill number 8405, the City Council will take action on an ordinance establishing procedures for the disclosure of potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain municipal officers.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8405.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance establishing a procedure for the disclosure of potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain municipal officers.
Motion for second reading of Bill 8405.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance establishing a procedure for the disclosure of potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain municipal officers.
Motion for adoption of bill number 8405.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Clerk Phelps?
Councilwoman Fox? Yes. Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Bill number 8405 has been adopted. Item CC, Bill number 8406, the City Council will take action on an ordinance approving a change order to a contract with Robinson Fence Company Incorporated for fencing at Link and Hillcrest Parks.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8406.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
City Council will take an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 relating to the Poplar Bluff Parks and Recreation Department fencing projects for Link and Hillcrest Parks in Poplar Bluff.
Motion for second reading of Bill 8406.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 relating to the Poplar Bluff Park and Recreation Department fencing projects for Link and Hillcrest Parks in Poplar Bluff.
Adoption of bill number 8406.
Second.
Questions? Comments? Roll call, Clerk Phelps?
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Bill number 8406 has been adopted. Item DD, bill number 8407. The City Council will take action on an ordinance providing for the levy and collection of property taxes for the year January 1st, 2022, and ending on December 31st, 2022.
Motion.
First reading of Bill 8407.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, providing for the levy and collection of property taxes for the year beginning January 1st, 2022, and ending December 31st, 2022, for the following purposes. Number 1, general revenue. Number 2, police and firemen's pension fund, to be levied and collected as to all property in the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, both personal and real, except household goods located in private homes.
Motion for second reading of Bill 8407.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, providing for the levy and collection of property taxes for the year beginning January 1, 2022, and ending December 31st, 2022, for the following purposes. First, general revenue. Second, policemen and firemen's pension funds, to be levied and collected as to all property in the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, both personal and real, except household goods located in private homes.
Motion for adoption of Bill 8407.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, Clerk Phelps?
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Bill number 8407 has been adopted. Item EE, bill number 8408. The City Council will take action on an ordinance repealing ordinance number 22-45, amending the fiscal year 2022 budget for the City of Poplar Bluff and accepting the best bid for a new HVAC unit at the Margaret Orwell Art Museum.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8408.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance repealing ordinance number 2245 dated August 1st, 2022, amending the 2022 fiscal year budget for the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and accepting the lowest and best bid for a new HVAC unit for the Margaret Harwell Art Museum.
Motion for second reading of Bill 8408.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance repealing ordinance number 2245 dated August 1st, 2022, amending the 2022 fiscal year budget for the City of Poplar Bluff and accepting the lowest and best bid for a new HVAC unit for the Margaret Harwell Art Museum.
Motion for adoption of bill number 8408.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Clerk Phelps?
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox? Yes. Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Bill number 8408 has been adopted. Item FF Resolution number 1986. The City Council will take action on a resolution making appointments to the Green Forest Community Improvement District Board of Directors.
Motion for reading of resolution 1986.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
A resolution of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, making appointments to the Green Forest Community Improvement District Board of Directors.
Motion for adoption of resolution number 1986.
Second.
Questions, comments? Clerk Phelps?
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox? Yes. Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Resolution number 1986 has been adopted. Item GG, resolution number 1987. The City Council will take action on a resolution of support for the rehabilitation of the Brent tenant apartments.
Motion for the reading of resolution 1987.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
A resolution of support for the proposal from RCH Development, Inc. for the rehabilitation of the Brent Tenon Apartments in the city of Poplar Bluff.
Motion for adoption of resolution 1987.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Councilwoman Fox?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
6 yes votes.
Resolution number 1987 has been adopted. Okay, we will be going into closed session. Mr. Winters wants to go into closed session. So item HH, the City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff will meet in a closed meeting in which they will discuss such matters which are exempted under the open meeting laws, section 610.021.1, .2, .3, .9, .11, .12, .13, and .14. Do we have a motion to go into closed session after the city manager's report?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Clerk Phelps?
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox? Yes. Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. Mr. Winters, you have your manager's report?
You know, I don't have a lot to report this evening. I did want to remind everyone that Saturday from 11 to 5 is the public open house at the new police station. There are definitely some things that won't be done by then, but we wanted to give the public an opportunity to come and see the entire facility, because once we start moving in, you know, we have evidence and things like that. There'll be areas that the public would not be able to see once we started moving in. So that's from 11 to 5 on Saturday. Hope you can all come out and join us. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, if there's no further business before the council, do we have a motion to adjourn regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.